that have requested the floor, and I regret that there are 5 left, but we were unable to conclude in the 30-minute slot we had before lunch. Thank you for your efforts. And I don't know if we are able to begin. Is the ambassador from St. Kitts and Nevis here?
No hay, está ahí la embajada.
Is the ambassador here?
Embajadora.
Ambassador, you have the floor, madam.
I'm pleased to recognize you, Chair, and to extend warm greetings to excellencies and distinguished delegations present. I wish in particular to acknowledge the work of Ambassador Anderson as we address this solemn and heart-wrenching matter before us, an agenda item and resolution introduced by Jamaica and proudly co-sponsored by my delegation. The government and people of St. Kitts and Nevis extend heartfelt condolences to the governments and peoples of Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, the Bahamas, Cuba, and all other nations across our region that have suffered unimaginable loss and destruction in the wake of Hurricane Melissa. The images and reports emerging from the affected territories remind us painfully of the fragility of life and the shared vulnerability of our Caribbean family. Lives have been lost, livelihoods have been swept away, and entire communities have been left to face an uphill battle to rebuild what nature, intensified by the undeniability of changing climate, has so cruelly taken. For small island developing states, already bearing the weight of limited resources and high exposure to external shocks, the aftermath of such disasters is more than the work of recovery. It is the struggle for survival, while recognizing the inescapability that the next year and the years that follow still have us in their crosshairs. Climate change is real. The path forward is marked not only by the immediate need for shelter, food, and water, but also by the years of debt and reconstruction that must follow, often financed at rates that disregard the compounded and repeated vulnerability of nations already stretched to their limits. St. Kitts and Nevis stands in unwavering solidarity with Jamaica, Haiti, the Bahamas, the Dominican Republic, and all affected countries. Out of our own means, my nation has contributed to the regional relief efforts, reaffirming our conviction that when one of us suffers, all of us must respond. Our shared resilience and compassion define the Caribbean spirit, and it is through unity that we will recover and rebuild. This tragedy is yet another stark reminder of the climate reality confronting SIDS, a crisis not of our own making, but one for which we bear a disproportionate cost. It compels the global community to confront with urgency and, yes, with fairness, the inequities of climate finance and the structural obstacles that impede recovery and resilience for those most exposed. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis renews its call for collective action for a just international response that transforms pledges into tangible relief and climate justice for the nations such as those of CARICOM, which stand on the front lines. Climate change is real, and it is now. Its impact is no longer distant or theoretical. It is felt in the loss of lives, the destruction of homes, and the heartbreak of our people. We must stand as one Caribbean, one hemisphere, resolute in grief, united in purpose, and steadfast in hope. Only together can we forge solutions that save lives, not only through post-disaster recovery, but through bold, preventive policies and resilient practices that safeguard our future before the next disaster strikes. Thank you very much, Chair.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, St. Kitts and Nevis, for your intervention. The observer mission of France has the floor now. Chair, Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, permanent representatives, dear colleagues, France would like to express its solidarity with respect to the peoples from Cuba, Jamaica, Bahamas, Dominican Republic, and others that have been hit so hard by Melissa. And we also express our condolences to those who have lost loved ones, and we want to support those who are suffering. We can support the countries who have been affected with respect to resilience and humanitarian assistance. With respect to Jamaica, we have sent a unit to deliver tons of materials, this through the European Union mechanism for the protection of civil defense. That aid includes first and basic needs kits, fresh water, in order to give urgent care to those who have been affected. In Haiti, we are also making efforts not just immediately, but in a long term. We want to have sustainable development. This is supported by our development agency to be able to help local actors anticipate and manage natural disasters. This will give a logistical support for the southern area to be able to look at damage caused by the hurricane. Also, we have the Phoenix Project, also financed by our development agency, which is to have a long-term protection of civil defense. And the objective is to have better operational skills to be able to rebuild, to build barracks, and also to have infrastructure. Two French experts are working on this project, and they've been made available to Haitian authorities to help the response. This means and shows our conviction with respect to solidarity, and that it must be international. This must be a collective effort. In a world where we have increasing storms of this kind, we need to rise to the occasion, especially with respect to very vulnerable states. Thank you. Thank you very much to the observer mission. The permanent observer mission of Spain now has the floor. Thank you, Chair. Spain would like to join with others in expressing solidarity and condolences to those countries that were hit hard by Melissa, one of the worst hurricanes seen in recent history. And we welcome this declaration adopted. As King Philip said, we send our support and hope for all of those who have been affected. Spain has wanted to respond quickly and show its commitment to address humanitarian needs that have come about. In that sense, and in solidarity with those affected, we reaffirm our commitment to international cooperation and humanitarian assistance when there are emergencies with concrete urgent help, such as the deployment through our development agency of the Star Hospital. This is one of our most potent instruments to help those affected in Jamaica. This hospital, this MT2 hospital with 70 volunteers, can help 200 people a day on average, and to also do important surgery every day. This gives high-quality health care to people. With this, Spain is responding to the request by Jamaican authorities after having evaluated the damage wrought by Hurricane Melissa. And through the Red Cross, we are also responding to needs in Cuba by sending 36 tons of humanitarian material, as well as providing 500 million euros to be able to address immediate needs after the hurricane. For example, providing drinking water and shelter to 100,000 people. With respect to the Red Cross, we also have different agreements with NGOs in Spain. The Foreign Ministry is coordinating humanitarian assistance to Cuba, Jamaica, and Haiti through local NGOs. In keeping with the needs that have been detected in different countries, the main areas of humanitarian intervention in the wake of Hurricane Melissa are emergency shelters, food, water, medical attention, and electricity, among others. Spain is a key donor to the Office of Coordination for Humanitarian Assistance of the UN, which has mobilized $8 million to react in Cuba and Haiti. In euros, we have provided 4.5 million. We also are contributing to the emergency fund for the International Association of the Red Cross, which has allocated funds to the Jamaican Red Cross to deal with urgent needs. In 2025, we have provided 300 million euros. We are committed to humanitarian assistance and to people who need it most in times of crisis. Our objective is to save lives and to support those who are making recovery efforts. But we also need to bet on prevention and resilience. So I wanted to refer to the vulnerability with respect to climate change. Our countries are threatened by the manifestations of different meteorological phenomena, which are increasingly violent and lethal. The Americas, the Caribbean, Europe, Spain, all of us. And so what is needed now is to fight against climate change. Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Spain, for your intervention. Now I give the floor to the Permanent Observer Mission of Italy. Thank you, Chair.
As a matter of priority of this issue in the agenda of the Permanent Council. Upon the initiative of the distinguished ambassador of Jamaica and with the co-sponsorships of other delegations. By using the words of the Under-Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs, Giorgio Silli, I wish to convey the most sincere solidarity and deepest condolences to all citizens of the affected countries, who were hit hard by the unrelenting passage of Hurricane Melissa in the past days. In such a difficult and painful time, our thoughts go to the families who lost their loved ones, and to all those dealing with the consequences of this devastating disaster, whose level of destruction was defined as unprecedented by the UN Resident Coordinator for the Caribbean, Dennis Zulu. I address my deep-felt appreciation to all first responders, volunteers, and local authorities, as well partners, who are at the moment relentlessly toiling with dedication, determination, and bravery to bring material and psychological comfort and assistance to those in distress, and try to mend the catastrophic damage suffered currently being assessed. Italy stands with the affected countries and all its citizens. As for defining the way ahead, we deem this debate very useful. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Italy. Finally, The Permanent Observer Mission of the Holy See has the floor. Thank you very much, Chair. The delegation of the Holy See is happy that this agenda item was included for today's meeting, where we had an adoption by acclamation, the declaration on the Hurricane Melissa and the countries affected. We want to offer our support of the Pope Leon to those countries affected: Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Bahamas, Cuba. They have been affected by catastrophic flooding, which has left people displaced, dead, property damage, damage to schools, infrastructure, and to hospitals as well. The Holy See knows that the Church, through its local communities and organizations such as Caritas, Catholic Relief Services, are trying to help those affected during these uncertain and difficult moments. The Holy See wants to take this opportunity to remember that we need to take care of nature through concrete action, and especially through national political and international political decisions. We believe that international organizations, regional organizations, are acting in a laudable way, such as the OAS, to sensitize governments and civil society about the excesses that are being committed against nature, and also to promote mechanisms in view of the duty to preserve our environment and natural resources in every country. To take care of the creation is all of our responsibility. Thank you. Thank you very much. I thank the Holy See for its intervention. And with that, we have concluded this point in our agenda. We have taken due note of all of the suggestions and interventions, and they will be included in the minutes of the meeting. Now we're moving on to item 5, which is the consideration of 2 requests for extensions by the Secretary General with respect to the time periods provided for in the resolution AgRes 1, the program budget of the organization for 2026, approved by the General Assembly of 15 October, for the presentation of the terms of reference of the Committee of Supervision and Implementation, whose time period was over on 31 October, and the Strategic Integral Plan 2026-2030, whose time period ended on 1st of November. In this context, the Secretary General requests from the Permanent Council an extension to 30th of November for the Committee on Supervision and Implementation, and until 31 March of 2026 for the presentation of the Integral Strategic Plan of the organization for 2026-2030. And in that regard, the chair would like to consult with delegation whether there is agreement on granting these extensions to the Secretary General, and if not, if they want to intervene. In this sense, Canada has the floor.
Canada appreciates the efforts of the Office of the Secretary General in advancing the work on these 2 important mandates. Our delegation, however, has not yet had the opportunity to discuss these requests with the Secretariat and other member states, which is standard procedure and an important component of the organization's oversight process. The delegation of Canada, therefore, respectfully requests that these 2 items be referred to the Committee on Administrative and Budgetary Affairs for consideration. As the appropriate technical body of the Permanent Council, the CAP should be afforded the opportunity to engage in dialogue with the Office of the Secretary General to better understand the rationale and justification for the requested extensions, and if deemed necessary, to request periodic updates on the status of these matters. Canada underscores the importance of ensuring that the technical committee remains fully appraised of the developments on these issues and conducts the necessary consultations with the Office of the Secretary General. This is the established process, which allows for the CAP to provide the Permanent Council with an informed recommendation on the best way forward. Thank you, Chair.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Canada. Colombia, you have the floor. Thank you, Chair. Just to support the request made by Canada, we also believe that these requests must be submitted to the CAP. It's at the CAP is where the mandates in this sense need to be addressed. So we agree fully with what Canada has suggested.
Perfecto.
Wonderful. Taking into considerations the interventions by Canada and Colombia, the chair would suggest that the Permanent Council take note of the requests of the extensions presented by the Secretary General for the presentation of the terms of reference for the Oversight and Implementation Committee and for the Comprehensive Strategic Plan, and that these be sent to the CAP for its consideration, and to request that the chair of the CAP then tell us about their deliberations later and what the result thereof is. If there is no objection to this proposal made by Colombia and Canada, it is so agreed. We are moving on now to point 6, the consideration of the following. I'd like to know whether the Permanent Council can welcome the recommendation presented by the President of the Inter-American Summit Management Committee and participation of civil society in OAS activities, and if we can approve the enrollment of 20 organizations of civil society listed in document CP-CISC 1233/25 in keeping with the guidelines on participation of the civil society organizations in OAS activity. And if we can instruct the Office of the Assistant Secretary General through the Civil Society Relations section so that these organizations can be enrolled on the registry of civil society organizations at the OAS. If there are no objections, it is so agreed. And now we have item 7. It has to do with the Permanent Council meeting minutes. I want to know if we can approve the following minutes. CP Acta 2392, joint meeting of August 30th, 2022. Acta 2398, regular meeting of September 28, 2022. Acta 2400, special meeting of October 20th, 2022. Acta 2401, special meeting of October 25, 2022. Acta 2565, regular meeting of October 8th, 2025. And Acta 2566, special meeting of October 15th, 2025. Approved. Well, the last item on our order of business has to do with other business. Before I offer the floor to delegations who would like to present any other business for informational purposes, I want to report that the Permanent Council, in compliance with mandate contained in Resolution 3029 of the General Assembly, specifically with respect to the 4th section, and this has to do with the creation of the Center for Justice Studies of the Americas, the chair welcomed the communique from the chair of the CAJP with respect to the collaborative roadmap of CEJA and OAS on the part of the executive director of the CEJA in the session of the CJP on October 30th. This resolution is to increase the visibility of this center and strengthen its collaborative work with the OAS and ensure its sustainability. The chair would like delegations to know that it received this communique from the chair of the CJP as evidence of compliance with the mandate of the General Assembly. Now, I'd like to offer the floor to those delegations who would like to bring to the attention of this committee any business that is informational in keeping with Article 45C of the Rules of Procedure. The chair will call the attention of any delegate who tries to present business that is not just informational. So if you have any other business that's informational, you have the floor. Please request it. I see no request for the floor. And thanking all delegations, especially those who are here and came back after lunch. And also, I'd like to thank the Secretariat and those who have been with us today. This session is adjourned. Thank you.
I know. No, you
I
did.
don't know.
But
I just sent it. They will deal with, I don't know with whom, but maybe with someone of your office. Oh, I really